Hey guys, welcome to my part 2 tutorial on how to alter effects. In the previous video I showed you how to set up your files, and in this video I will show you how to alter the color only, because just doing that alone is quite a bit of information. So I'm going to start by opening my I already have Han set up for so you can just be faster. I'm going to go into my game folder. I created a shortcut so it's just easier to access to my game folder. Go to Heroes and I see Nomad. Now if I'm going to be editing the original Nomad, then I would just stay in this folder and start editing ability 1, 2, 3, and 4. But let's say you want to edit an alt, like Nomadin, or the tribal guy, or Raja Nomad. Then you would go into their folders and start editing their effects first. And then you edit Nomad's original. So sometimes you don't have to edit all the effects of the original. For example, Raja Nomad has his own ability, his own first ability, which is the Sandstorm. He has his own Sandstorm. Therefore, he will not use Nomad's original Sandstorm. Everything else, he will, because, and you know this by looking at the folder into Raja Nomad. So Raja Nomad's all 3. I go into his folder. I see he has an ability 1, so he has his own ability 1 effect. He doesn't have ability 2, 3, or 4, meaning that he's using Nomad's original abilities. And you can go to the other alt folder to see what they're using as well. Like alt is just Nomadin. He uses all the effects of Nomad's original except when he dies, death effect, and that's it. And for alt 2 would be the tribal guy. He uses his own ability 3, which is the sand accumulating to his body. And all 3, Nomad uses his own Sandstorm. Okay, so I'm going to be editing Raja Nomad. So Han is already set up.
For the Sand Kingdoms.
And make sure you have the dynamic reload button ticked already. That when anything you save in the Notepad++, you can see the changes right away in the game. Take out the creeps. That way they don't annoy you by attacking the towers. And that's it for setting up for practice mode. As you can see, the Sandstorm is slightly different from Nomad's. It's red, brownish, just a slight different tint to it. And we want to change the color. So I go to Raja Nomad's folder. This is Nomad's original folder. And I go to all 3, Raja Nomad. You can also start by going to the effects and changing the attack impact effect, but I'm just going to focus on the ability. Open Notepad++. Just drag and drop the effect into Notepad++. Stay gadget. There's no way you know if it's the Sandstorm. The only way you can find out what it does is by trial and error, changing the effect and seeing what changes you see in game. So before you start changing the color, you need to know when does the effect start and end. And one good way to know when it starts is by seeing these arrows right here, and then the word after it. This word would be simply meter. And you know it ends because it has a slash, simply meter. So this would be one whole effect. Another reason or another way you can know it's one whole effect is that it has its own material file. Usually one effect would have its own material file. Only one. Sometimes 2, probably. I haven't seen it, but just 1. So the next effect would be here. It starts with simply meter, ends with slash simply meter. This arrow just it doesn't mean it ends, it means it continues. Because you could keep continuing adding more things to the effect. But we'll get to that later. Let's focus on the first effect. And you want to change the color. And you also want to know What exactly you're changing? You mean
Sandwraith will pay dearly for what he has
Pyroclast,
done.
the material? You have no idea what Pyroclast is. So you can start by changing the color and see what happens in game. And then you'll find out what the Pyroclast material is, what you're changing. So let's give a little introduction about color. Red is 100, blue 001, and green is 010. The proper way to write this is with no spaces, just color equal sign, quotation marks, and then 100, spaces in between. That's just red. For example, here's start color. They're using red, or I'm using red. And there's also mid color and end color. So color, let's just go with the white or true color. If you want to have a white color, you just type in 1, and that gives you a white color, or sometimes a true color. And what I mean by that is, some material files come already preloaded with their own colors. For example, well, I can't give you an example off the top of my head, but you won't know until you actually try it. So if you put in 1 for start color, and you save it, make sure you save it. Anytime you want to see the changes into the game, you have to save it into Notepad++, and then you can see the changes.
One day, I will make void my false transgressions.
So you can't really see any changes. So let's make everything just white. The mid color, end color. What start, mid, and end color do is it adds variety to the effect. So suppose you want to start a certain color like red, and then you want to be throughout the middle of the effect you want to turn blue, and then the end color you want to turn green. You would use start, mid, and end. But if you don't like using that, or you don't want to use it, then you can just delete it and just add color to it. That way the color is solid all the way through the effect. So it'll just be white all the way through.
Lead on.
And you see the white right here. That's the Pyroclast emitting from his body. So because Pyroclast showed the white color, it means the true color is also white. You can change to any color. Let me give you an example real quick on what different materials have their own color. Actually, no, that's another subject. Let's just go on. So I'm going to have start, mid. Actually, you don't even have to have mid color. If you don't want to have anything there, just have an end color. That's fine too. Remember, no spaces when you type it down. And I want it to end blue. I want to start red. So you should see it start red and end blue towards the end of the effect. Yeah, you see it there.
My journey progresses.
That's how you change the color of effects. Now what if you change the color but you still don't see the effect, or you don't know what's going on because of the too many effects? There's another way to find out what you're changing, is by changing the size of the material. You can exaggerate it. For example, right now it's 20, you can just say 200. Blast it up so you know exactly where it's at.
If you deem it wise.
And there it is.
For the Sand Kingdoms.
You can do this with any material effects just by color wise. And you can drastically just change the effects by changing the size, color, and alpha. I'll explain alpha right now. What alpha is, it changes the opacity of the effect. And what I mean by opacity is the transparency. So you can say that the decimals are like a percentage of the color. That's how I explain it. It's easier for me to understand it. So 1 would be 100%, and 0 would be 0%, obviously. And it works the same way by start, mid, and alpha. You want to start off in a certain percentage. You want to start off 0% transparency, and then throughout the middle effect, you want 100% transparency.
Sandwraith will pay dearly for what he has done.
So let's have one all the way through of transparencies.
One day,
It's actually more solid color.
I'm focused.
You don't even have to have start, mid, and end if you want one all the way through. Just to say alpha and save it. I'm automatically saving it as I switch windows, so make sure you save it to see the changes. And that's how it looks like. Why do we have alphas? In case you wanted to, well, obviously to add more variety, but in case you want to fade out an effect or fade in an effect, that's why you would use it. Also, some materials don't allow you to change the transparency, so you might have to change it using the color. Now, obviously, if you have a white, a white color like start color white, and you want to have a no color, which is 0 is a black, or invisible, depending on the material. So, for power class 0, I'm not sure if it's black or invisible, so it's just power class is actually black. Sometimes the material can't have it as a black color or a black material, so it just doesn't even show up at all. So that's why I say it's invisible sometimes. If it didn't show up at all, then you can use 0 to have a transparency on the color, if you will. So one way to fade out the color would be, if it was invisible, just put like a 1 for 100% white or 100% red, and then you can end color 0, which the end color would be invisible, so it would fade out. That's another way to fade it out. And that's basically everything for just color. Yeah.
Lead on.
I mean, if you change all his effects, then you can have a completely different person. For example, I'm gonna spawn Ravenor. I changed him to a light blue color, so he has these thunderous type effects, and I wanted him to be blue. Where is that bastard? There we go. So this is Ravenor, and just by changing color, you can have that much of a difference to it. All of this is just achieved by changing color only. So that's already plenty to do. Hopefully this tutorial helped you a little bit, and it helps you explore just how to change effects. In the next video I'm going to show you how to change the materials, and then maybe change the model. I think material would just be enough to talk about just materials, so next video I'll show you materials. Thanks for watching.